Yo, thank you for checking out today's video. So what we're doing today is we're replacing what is easily one of, if not the most important elements to any driving experience, almost no matter what kind of car you're driving. And what we're doing today is we're actually replacing the steering wheel on the S. I personally think that really clean steering wheels are kind of slept on. From a driving perspective, it's super important, man, because a lot of like the imperfections and just kind of like the visuals and stuff are first of all front and center, but you can also feel some of these things. So for example, this left side of the steering wheel is pretty jacked up because the previous owner wore a ring on his finger. So if I like move over here to the side, you can kind of see that it's honestly kind of distracting. It's just something that I think about all the time when I'm driving. I really wish that these weren't there. So that's why we're gonna be replacing this today. Okay, so now that you have more or less an idea of what we're working with, let me show you what we're gonna be replacing it with. Okay, so this is a mint condition OEM steering wheel for my Honda S2000. And the coolest thing about this steering wheel, besides the fact that I got a super crazy deal on it, and it just like the kind of story behind it I think is super interesting, is that it's the correct model and trim level and year for my car. This steering wheel is basically the exact replacement to what I have currently in the car. So I just kind of wanted to show this to you in the wrapping. I don't think I'm going to take it apart just yet, but I'm actually going to get ahead on replacing this. So let's get back in the car. Well, I'm like really excited to replace this steering wheel because I'm kind of looking at it from this angle. From the outside looking in, you can just really see like all of the imperfections, man, which is so gnarly. Like look at this, just like the scuffs and stuff that shouldn't be there. So I'm actually super hyped to get to replace this right now. Anytime you do any work relating to the steering wheel or the airbag, you always want to take 2 seconds to jump in the engine bay to undo the negative terminal, because there are actually a lot of electrical systems that talk to the steering wheel positioning, VSA on the S2000. I don't know if it's the same for other cars, but you can avoid all those headaches, as well as a face full of airbag if you just unplug the battery. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is pop the cover off on this side. There's 2 covers, one on either side of the airbag. So here's the first one, second one. Cool, one. So now it should come right off. I wasn't nervous going into this job because I've done it before, but things change when you're actually pulling the plug on the backside of this thing. I feel like I'm defusing a bomb. This is a bomb. This is literally a bomb, except it's supposed to save your life. So pulling this thing off is kind of nerve-wracking, low-key. So I'm gonna put that off to the side. So now that we have the airbag pulled off, you can kind of see what it looks like behind it, and just a couple of connections really. It looks way more daunting than it really is. I'm gonna give you a quick tip on pulling steering wheels if you've never done one before, so check this out. Some people might not know that there's a thing called a clock spring. There's a lot of different names for it, clock spring, SRS reel, but what it is like this disc-shaped piece, right? You can kind of see that it's attached here. See this thing that spins kind of in a circular motion? It's right there. So this guy is sitting behind the steering wheel, and what a lot of people will make the mistake of doing is not knowing that these guys need to be fed through here before you fully pull the wheel off. Basically what's gonna happen to that piece behind is it's gonna explode and unwind like an accordion. I've done that before, and it's a really expensive fix. The part itself is like 300 bucks. So what you can do is you can leave the bolt here that actually keeps the steering wheel in place installed, loosen it a couple threads, just so that when you go to pull it, you're safe from letting the wheel fly off of the car and destroy anything that might be behind it. There we go. Cool. All right, pretty easy. Ah, so weird, dude. There's so much room in this car without a steering wheel. It's so strange. Okay, so I officially have both steering wheels here side by side, and all I need to do now is be able to transfer this stuff. This is the cruise control and like that little module setup over to this steering wheel. And hold on, what? Okay, I'm super confused because I thought this was an exact replacement, and it's actually not. This one doesn't have a cutout for the cruise control. Like, this is molded. This isn't like something you can just pop off. What the flip, dude? Well, I just test fitted the wheel, and it does fit, which is good. I mean, it looks like the splines and everything line up well. It's so strange it doesn't have the cutout for cruise control. I'm pretty sure every car came with a cruise control cutout. The only thing that I could see this being is like maybe this wheel came from overseas, but I picked it up locally, and the guy that sold it to me said that he pulled it off of his stock car when he bought it brand new. So either he was lying or you know, I don't really know what to think, but it does fit, so we should be able to transfer everything on the steering wheel to the new steering wheel. So I guess we're gonna do that next. So I just got done taking apart my steering wheel, and it's actually a little bit easier than you might think. It looks pretty daunting when it's all put together, just because all the molded parts and like the hardware and stuff, and it just looks all gnarly, but it's actually not too hard. But we're going to be reusing this because this is the bezel that has the opening for cruise control. We're going to be reusing the cruise control switch set, which is here, and finally we're going to need the bracket. So this bracket has to come off as well. So this is what it looks like when it's all bare. I mean, it looks good to me. So just got done swapping over all the internals onto the new steering wheel. So now we have the better looking steering wheel with all the appropriate stuff on the inside. So we kept the right bezel, the bracket for the cruise control, the switches, and the harness. So this is ready to be installed now. Just for cleanliness sake, I decided to assemble the old steering wheel, but I'm not going to do anything with this just yet. Although I do have plans for this guy that we'll talk about more in the future. Okay, so now this is ready to go in. Finally, dude, that only took forever. So as far as I know, the clock spring isn't supposed to be rotating freely while the steering wheel isn't installed, which kind of explains why these posts are here to begin with. So what I've done is I've taped these to the bezel just to make sure that the clock spring isn't rotating, and you're gonna see that it's gonna wanna spin a little bit when I feed these harnesses through the steering wheel. There, that goes in there. Okay, so everything's back on, everything's hooked up, everything's torqued down, so we should be good to go. Now comes the scary part. We have to turn the car on to make sure that we hooked up everything correctly and that we didn't upset any sensors or trigger any warnings. We don't have any lights on the dash. So it's just super, like, I mean, kind of just like annoying and just like scary for me because I don't know anything about electrical. So if we did something wrong, usually it's a trip to the dealership, and that's a couple $100 that I definitely don't have right now. So I'm gonna hook the battery back up, we're gonna turn it on, and hopefully no lights on the dash. Okay, so battery is plugged in. No lights on the dash, no lights on the dash. Okay, so far so good. Turn the car on. Yes, we did it. Yeah. Cool, so car is happy, I'm happy. I think we're finally ready to unwrap this thing. I haven't looked at it at all. I kept the wrapping on this entire time just so it can kind of all, you know, hit me in the face at once. That's like that delayed gratification thing that I was talking about, you know, a couple of videos ago, but I'm still on that wave and I'm gonna unwrap this now. So kind of, I don't know, stay tuned for the reveal with me. I don't know. When I was in college, I would often just stop and procrastinate. I would go on the original forums, I'd go on Facebook Marketplace, I'd go on Craigslist, and I would just look for parts. I'd look for parts for my car, I'd look for like different things I could install on it, I'd like research parts that I was like really into when I should be working, right? The steering wheel is important to me because I remember finding this online and I hit him up and I was like, yo, like I'll come right now to come buy it. And he was like, cool, see you here. And I remember just dropping everything I was working on. I like took my project, threw it out the window. And I remember just being so happy driving there because it was just a place and time where I would much rather be than just sitting behind a desk working on something that I didn't care about. That's really kind of where I've been lately, you know? Lately, I'm trying to put my passion for cars, I'm trying to put my passion for creating things, I'm trying to put my passion for all of these things that I want to see come to life first, and putting work second. Anyway, I want to pull this off super fast. Oh, yo! Dang! This is clean! Yo, this thing is super clean, man! Dude, this thing looks good! So clean. Look at like all the texture on here. My old steering wheel, if you remember, was literally smooth, like dead smooth, like dead smooth, like literally so smooth that like all the texture from the leather had been worn away. Okay, so I just tried to clean the wheel as much as possible to kind of get as much of the original finish out of it as I can. And right away, man, such a difference, like such a big difference. This is like just a super, super crisp, clean OEM wheel. Dude, look at how good this thing looks. Oh my gosh, man. So simple, but like so beautiful, you know what I mean? It just looks so good. Like the new shift boot on the right, brand new steering wheel on the left. It just looks so, so good, man. I can't get over it. Took a quick trip down to the beach since it's just like a minute or so from where I'm living. And yeah, man, really, really good day to be driving the S. So, so happy with this thing. Yo, so, so happy with how this turned out. Damn, it looks so good. What a vibe, man. Clean steering wheel. Nice day at the beach, just cruising down. Yo, what more do you need in life, you know? Like, So the reason why I haven't thrown crazy parts at this car, which is like what normal people do, I think normal people get their hands on something like this and just start throwing parts at it. But my philosophy has always been to get the car to a point to where it's the best possible example of what it was when it left the factory first, before I start throwing crazy things at it and like changing the nature of it and turning it into something that it's not. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's gonna vibe with anyone, but that's my logic. Thank you so much for checking this out. Thank you for sticking around to the end if you did. Yeah, man, just baby steps. Like I said, baby steps, and I'm here for it, you know? I'm all about the small progress, the slow growth, because that's where you really make gains in life. And, you know, nothing worth having was ever built in a single day, and I'm here for it. So, yeah, anyway, again, thank you for checking this video out. I hope it was a vibe, and I will see you in the next one.